Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Today from McFarlane Toys, in their Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim line, we are featuring the main protagonist and hero of the film, Hera, the Princess of Rohan. Alright, so her father is Helm Hammerhand, the King of Rohan, and she's very much the tomboy, growing up under her brothers, and then her father, who is just a complete badass. So as you'd expect, she's a master with the sword, a hell of a fighter, and she just carries the film brilliantly. One of the key selling points of this toy line is the Build-A-Figure, which is the snow troll right here. And this thing is going to be phenomenal once it's put together. Just look how large his torso is when compared to the small frame that is Hera. So when they first announced this line of toys, I was eyeing it, but I couldn't pull the trigger because they're incredibly expensive. They're priced at $20 a pop, and for a figure that's barely over 4 inches, I'm like, that's way too much money. But once the figures were clearanced off for $5, I had to pull the trigger and get them because, like I said, I just loved the film. The War of the Rohirrim, it's an awesome animated feature, and if you're into anime and Lord of the Rings, it's like the perfect marriage. The story isn't the greatest, but it does enough to keep you engaged and entertained. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest you do. It's really worth a viewing. Alright, so let's get started and take out Hera. And then, like I said, I can't wait to assemble this snow troll. It's going to be awesome. Alright, so here are the Build-A-Figure pieces for the Snow Troll. As you can see, very, very detailed. Wonderful texturing and paint application all around. It's going to look awesome once assembled, and I can't wait to get all the pieces together. Here is Hera's sword. She hails from the Rohirrim, the land of the horsemen. And I'm not sure if it's a subtle nod to the later films, but the sword looks very similar to the one carried by King Theoden, as seen in The Two Towers and in Return of the King, the live-action film. Alright, so we have Hera here. Like I said, this is a much smaller action figure line. The figures are larger than the McFarlane Page Punchers. I think just by a little bit. But, they come in at about a little under 4 inches. It was kind of disappointing because McFarlane, they do produce anime figures at a much larger scale. I think some of them range anywhere between 6 to 7 inches. So it's just kind of disappointing getting these figures that were so small because there was so much potential here to create these works of art, because the movie is just visually stunning, and I kind of feel like it doesn't do the characters any service by making these really small action figures. It's a decent line, like I said, it was something I was interested in, being a Lord of the Rings fan and a fan of anime. I just kind of wish the figures were, produced at a larger size. But we have Hera here, the main hero of the film. She has a cloth cape, nicely sculpted hair, very anime-inspired eyes. Nice detailing on the buckles of her belt and straps. She has the thigh-high horse-riding boots. Nice gold trim on the shin guards. Let's get her sword in hand. Which is kind of hard to do because the hands are so small. Just gonna There we go. We got it in. And then we have Hera looking nice. And for a size comparison with some of the other figures in the line, we have Shank, the orc scavenger, who in the film is on the hunt for the One Ring. We also have the antagonist of the film, Hera's childhood friend, and later nemesis. We have Wolf. The two look great next to each other. And then lastly, we have the king of Rohan. We have her father, Helm Hammerhand, and he just towers over her. So overall, it's a nice action figure line. You know, it kind of missed the mark, I think, but if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, if you're a fan of anime, you know, and if you enjoyed the film, these figures are worth having, but don't pay full price for them. You know, find them on the secondary market for much cheaper prices. Or if you're like me, maybe you'll get lucky and you'll find them, you know, discounted at like Walmart or whatever. But yeah, don't pay $20 a pop. That's too much. But, you know, they're worth owning, especially if you're a fan of the film. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.